Welcome back to our community. Susie Thomas visiting with Allison Read. She's from Cru. And I would love to know more about the actual mission and philosophy. I kind of gave you my interpretation of it, but let's hear what the real one is. What is Cru all about?
So Cru really is at its heart a caring community passionate about connecting people to Jesus. And that can be done in a lot of different ways, whether you're on the college campus or elsewhere. There are countless ministries under the umbrella of Cru, but the one that I focus on is college. And so what we try to do at the college level is that we want there to be movements everywhere so that everyone knows someone who truly follows Jesus. And I think that's something that's so important, that if you know someone who's truly following Jesus, you have that representation of who a Christian is, what their life is about, and what Jesus has done for you. And so, I mean, if you see that one person living out their faith, you're going to be hearing the gospel from them. You're going to be seeing them engage with the Lord and seeing that God is the center of their life. And that's what we're called to be. And so it's really giving people on campus the right view of what a Christ follower should be. And so the way that we kind of work that out in a strategic way is we focus on this idea of win, build, and send. So winning is really just introducing people to Jesus. It's winning them for the faith and bringing them to the knowledge of their Savior and trust in the Lord. So we do that in a number of ways. Like at the beginning of the year in the fall, we will have survey tables at the involvement fairs, and you kind of have some things that students will see, say, oh, they're giving away a water bottle, and if I fill out a survey, I can get that water bottle. And then we can connect with them later if they show interest in any kind of spiritual conversation or a Bible study and things like that. So we really want to try to find the lost and to train believers. And so that's something that we want to do through our weekly meetings and through open forum conversations, that people can come and give their view on any aspect of, spirituality. Yeah.
You said earlier that this is one of the ways that you can have a nice small group and live in community within a much larger community of a college campus.
Yeah.
Another thing that does that is the Greek system. You have sororities and fraternities, and you can get to become great friends in a small group within that larger group, and you find like-minded people and so forth. Cru has gotten smart to begin to do ministry with the sororities and the fraternities. Tell us about that.
Yes, we definitely kind of realized last year, 14-15 school year, that we had large opportunities on campus, that we had a lot of, especially sorority students, that were involved with us, and that we said, hey, this is a great way to get into the people's lives that we are already meeting. And so we have started doing Greek ministry at Baldwin Wallace Case Western at Mount Union. And within that, we've just had some really great experiences. We had a Christmas themed tea party at Baldwin Wallace.
Fun.
Yeah, and they had 35 sorority girls come.
Wow.
And many of them said, I have never heard the true story of Christmas. And they got to
Wait
hear.
a minute, back up and tell me that these are American girls
Yes.
that had never heard the true story of Christmas.
Yeah, they heard broken versions of it, or the very short version of it and things like that, but they never heard the aspect that there was a Savior being born and that he had a purpose.
Wow. That's mind-boggling in this day and age, in 21st century America. You really are finding a mission field right in our backyard, aren't you?
Yes, definitely.
My goodness. You've got some other really neat outreach ideas. What kinds of things have you been doing?
So one of my favorite outreach that we do is called the Text for Cookie outreach. And we have done that at, I believe, 4 of our campuses now in the past 2 years. And what that is we go out onto campus with our students and with our staff and hand out business cards that say, hey, if you text this phone number and fill out a survey, we will bring fresh baked cookies to your dorm room door.
Does anyone turn you down?
You would be surprised, but
Really?
most people don't.
Oh, my goodness. That's brilliant.
Yeah. So it's a great way to just get in touch with people that maybe we would never run into on campus naturally. One of the things we do on the survey is ask them a question about God. So one of them that we do is, if you could ask God any question, what would you ask him? And so then when you get to their door and you're delivering these cookies, you can then try to engage them in spiritual conversation and say, you asked this question. What made you ask that question? Or if it's a question we can answer very easily, we can answer it. And we always try to have this leading up to some kind of event that we have going on that we can invite them to. So something like an open forum table conversation where we can say, hey, this Friday we're having this open conversation. We'd love to have you there.
Somebody thought that all the way through. That is so brilliant. What kinds of questions do you find? Are there any trends in questions that young people have today?
Yeah. I would say a lot of people are asking, how could a loving God send someone to hell? That's a very big question that I think people are they don't see the goodness in justice and the goodness in God, God's plan. And so that's a big question.
What do you tell them when someone asks you
It's
that?
a long conversation. It's hard to answer that at the door. I usually try to, engage them in later conversation. Hey, let's meet up for coffee.
Yeah, that it would not be his will that any would perish. And
right.
Yeah, it's tough to just say that, and this can't be drive-by, as you say.
Right, absolutely.
This needs to be establishing a relationship with that person.
Yeah. Yes, it definitely does. I would say to them, after I'm actually meeting with them one-on-one and not hovering in their dorm door, that we all have this sin that has built within us because of the human nature we have inside of us, and that has separated us from God, and that God can only be in the presence of purity and the presence of holiness. But the important thing to know is that he hasn't left it there. He has given us an ability to go and know his son, Jesus, who died for us to pay for that difference between us and God. He has enabled us to be able to say, I can stand before you holy and pure because your son died for me and rose again. And that's where, you get into the deep parts of the gospel and apply it to their life. And usually I try to ask what made them ask that particular question.
Good,
There's usually some kind of reason, maybe they've had hurt in their life, or they know lots and lots of people who are wonderful people, but they don't know Jesus. And so they say, well, if that's true, how could that person possibly be destined, for anywhere but heaven?
Yeah.
So it's a hard question.
We all need a savior.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Very, very good. I've always thought of Mother Teresa and the worst sinner that you can imagine, standing on the edge of the ocean and both trying to swim it. They're both going to drown.
Right.
Mother Teresa might be a much stronger swimmer than the worst sinner, but they're both going to drown. Both need a savior. We all need a savior. You're raising support right now. Let's get down to it, because this is something that this is how you are supporting yourself. So how can we help you?
Yeah, so Crew is an organization that has no central funding. And so because of that, all of our staff's personal salaries and ministry expenses are provided through caring individuals and churches who want to provide consistent financial support. So I myself joined with staff as a career last August, so this past August. And since then, I have been back in Cleveland and just asking people to join with me. And so a lot of people say, what does that look like? And so I really am in need of people that would be willing to say, I'm going to come alongside you as a ministry partner. And they can say, I want to give some number of dollars a month to your ministry, so that this can be a ministry that is stable in the future and stays in the Cleveland area. And so each one of the people on my staff team do the same thing, but I'm the newest one. So I am in process of raising together that team of people. And so I'm so close to being done.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Allison, how do people become part of your team?
Yes. So I would say the first thing is, if you're interested in hearing more about it, I would love for you to email me. My email address is Allison, Allison, period, Read, Reed, at crew, CRU, period, org. And just let me know, hey, I want to hear more about what this looks like. And those people would be able to go to my giving website if they wanted to and sign up as a monthly donor or annual or anything like that. There's lots of increments on there, and say, I want to invest in you as a missionary to college students and be a part of this. And so if you're interested in even reading a bio for me, that is also on my giving page. My giving page is give.crew.org. And you can go there and search for my name, Allison Read, or you can also go to my donor number, which is 07240778.
And it is a pebble in a pond. You invest in you and look at all the other lives that it then invests in. You must have seen some amazing things happen, even in this short time that you've been involved, or you wouldn't feel so passionate about it. You've got some stories you could share with us, Allison?
Yeah. So one thing that has just been so fun this year is watching that sorority ministry really take off. And so at Case Western in particular, we've had this really great kind of chain of evangelism happening. And it's all been really started by a very faithful student there named Taylor. And she has been a part of sorority there at Case Western, and she has really invested her time in reaching out to her sorority sisters. And she says, I want my sisters to know the Jesus I know. And so she particularly started really talking to a sister that I will call A. And A has started off as agnostic, not really sure if you could really believe in anything of the nature of God. But she kept asking about Taylor's Bible study and asking about just, spiritual questions. And Taylor's always available to answer those questions. And along the way, this girl A started really being open to the idea, and she grew to want to talk about it all the time and would sit down with Taylor and have spiritual conversations. She started going to church with Taylor, which is really great, just someone seeking, wanting to know. And along the way, God really connected the dots for this girl. She asked all of the questions that she wanted to know, and Taylor was able to give her answers and show her love. And God brought this girl from agnostic to believing there's some sort of God to then saying, I trust Jesus as my Lord and Savior. And she's just been trusting him with that since.
That's remarkable, but that's God, isn't it?
It
Well, he's the only
is.
one that can make that happen, to work that way in someone's life. What's the time period that she went through this amazing transformation?
I'm not sure when it exactly started, but it was definitely within this school year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So Taylor's quite an instrument.
Yes.
Does she have aspirations of working full-time for Cru as well?
Who knows? She's only a sophomore going into her junior year, so she has plenty of time to figure that out.
I wish we had more time because I would love to know your story. Can you give it to us like in a nutshell?
Sure.
What brought you to this kind of faith, Allison?
I would say God has pushed me little by little to this kind of faith. I grew up in a Christian home. I went to church most Sundays growing up and went to all of the, events and the youth things and things like that. And I came to know Jesus as my Savior when I was around 6 or 7. Wow. I'm not sure the exact time period because you're so little. And I just remember at Sunday school, my Sunday school teacher, Hazel, asking us, explaining the gospel, explaining how you would accept it and say, this is mine, and ask for forgiveness, and said, who wants that for their life? And I said, I do. Wow. And we prayed that. And ever since then, the Lord has been teaching me. And I've always been a learner. I've always been someone very interested in learning and more knowledge. And so I think along the way, God used, church at home growing up, and then also really used Cru to teach me about a relationship with God and teach me to study the Bible and things. And so, I would just say he's pushed me little by little until I've gotten here.
To this kind of growth. Well, we appreciate you and all that you're doing on the college campuses. It's such important work. If you'd like to contact Allison, go to allison.read@cru.org. Allison, thank you so much for joining us on Our Community.
Thank you so much for having me.